Marshelle.
Hi, Bridget. This episode,
We're going to talk about
What are the things that are going on in our lives?
it's kind of like maybe this might be like,
Yeah, sorta, kinda.
life lesson.
Hi.
Hi, Marshelle.
Hello, Bridget. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to be doing this with you again.
I know. I wish you were here, but this is cool, actually.
I mean, it's kind of like what inspired Yeah, Sorta Kinda in the first place was us having conversations via the internet. So look at that. Going back
Cheers
to
to
our
that.
roots.
Going back to the roots.
Cheers to that. What
Cheers to
mug
that.
do you have today? Mine says coffee snob.
Mine's a head witch. I'm not a witch, but head witch.
And I'm not a snob, so.
Yeah, exactly. I've had to clarify that I'm not a Satanist and I am not a witch. So let's just keep it. Let's keep it in that
cover your
tune.
bases.
Shall we? Yeah. 'Cause you just never know. People can make up the weirdest shit these days. I swear to God.
I want to know if our listeners are coffee drinkers.
How
Because,
can-
like,
yeah, it's possible.
some
or not.
people aren't. Well, and I know a
love
lot
it.
of our British listeners are tea drinkers.
Tea's good too. I've got my tea. Okay, so that was my
Yeah, what's your
coffee
setup?
mug, and now I have my tea mug as well because I'm still a little sick. This thing never goes away, guys. I have limited bandwidth in my brain. God only knows. I feel like ever since we've been shooting this that I've been out of it. So it'll be amazing when I actually feel better. God knows what's going to happen. You guys, it'll be a totally different show.
I look forward to seeing all the layers of you.
Right? All the
unfold.
cylinders firing.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no, you're great. Your brain is working fine.
Thank you. I'm going to point out that I know I did not iron my lapels on my pockets. Is that what they're called?
Now
lapels?
I can't see it.
I can see
It
it.
almost looks like ruffles.
Well, there you go. It's ruffled.
Yeah.
Sounds good. We'll go with that.
I'm going to point out that I still haven't colored my hair, and this is now a thing. This is now a thing we're doing where we're going to see what it looks like
I like it.
until we don't. We're going to do it until we don't, as
I'm gonna
Marshelle
cut
likes to say.
That is what I say, isn't it? It's almost like a
Yeah.
motto of mine, a life motto. I'm just going to do it till I don't.
Do it till we don't.
That is exactly. Oh my God, that's hilarious. I didn't even realize that I have always said that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can use it for a lot of purposes,
Yeah.
FYI. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm like not going to go down that rabbit hole of the context that
Yeah.
you've used it for me, but I'm thinking of something very specific, and then I'm biting my tongue. How have you been with the isolation and you and Tommy being at home? How's that been? Have you guys felt like quality time? Are you sick of each other? How does that been?
No, we're like doing really well, actually. He needed the time off, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, real. It's bad. This situation is bad. I'm not, whenever we joke around about things, it's not
Yeah.
because we don't respect it or anything like that. I mean, people are dying, you know, but humor is how I approach things anyway. You know, and I think you had posted something about that. I think I saw that.
Literally just today. I did. I
thought
posted
so.
about how humor is... We're grieving as a race. Like, humanity is in grief.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think of all the stages of grief, one of those is denial. And there's a lot of humanity that's in denial right now about what's actually happening. But the data's there.
Yeah, it's definitely. But we'll go into that in a second. But Tommy and I are doing great, honestly. I mean, he's been playing a lot of music, and I've actually had a lot of taped auditions, and you're not here to be able to help me, so that's been sad and funky and weird. Tommy did very well today, though.
That's good.
He did very well today. I actually had a couple. But I don't feel well still. As I said, it's this never-ending thing. And so I'm not, like, in the mood to do stuff like that. I really do just want to watch Netflix and chill out and drink tea. And I want to exercise, though. I miss that. But I haven't gone outside.
I don't know if I've ever used the words, I miss exercise. But I respect that about you.
Thank you. I like the stretching. I do miss that. I miss riding my exercise bike. That thing's fun. I was riding through the Swiss Alps a lot.
You have like aren't you able, there's like an app on your tablet and you're able to get a visual. It works with your bike. It's not
it's
like
so fun.
It's not like a Peloton, but it's
it's kinda,
comparable. It's like affordable.
Yeah.
You got it at Costco, right?
We got it at Costco. And I was like, I want
If
that.
if I had room, I would have got one.
Yeah,
But
I
my
wanted you to
apartment
get
is way
one.
too tiny.
I wanted you to get one. Make it a centerpiece. Like people walk in, there it is. But
It would literally be tripped over. I mean, there's
would.
just no space.
oh, I mean, we have a house, and I still have issues with the space. I mean, you know that. Like right now, it's out in the hallway
Oh, yeah.
because that's where I was shooting. Everything, and it's still all set up because I'm like, you know what? I'm lazy. I don't want to take anything down.
You mean your studio is set up to shoot things?
Yeah, well, not just us, but like for
No, I know.
auditions. Yeah, I mean, I've got
Oh,
like
I get it.
this is a great little space. I got to say, I'm going to pat myself on the back. I did a good job with getting all this together. Slowly but
My
surely.
studio space is actually in this room too, but I have transforming furniture so that I can collapse my IKEA dining room table and then set up all my lights and then put up my backdrops. It's a to-do.
That's the MacGyver
and then
in her.
some of my stuff is in your studio right now,
Yeah.
like my ring light and some other things, some tripods. But I still have enough here for my taped auditions that I've been able to get that done. But yeah, having a space that you can be creative in is so imperative. And I think especially right now when we're all indoors, even if it's not, I don't know. My brother's working from home, and he was saying how it's been very important for him to have his workspace separate from his living space since he can't, like,
Oh, yeah.
so if it's like, here's time to go watch TV, and then here in this room is when I go to work. Because for him, my brother's always like wanting to go out and hang out and get out in the world, and I think he's getting cabin fever. Something
I'm
fierce.
not minding this at all. Tommy's not minding it either. We're both like that reclusive type that we could just live in a cabin in the woods. Like I told you, a bunker. I mean, I would be totally okay with that. I'm not that. I mean, there's that two sides, like where I like to be around people and I like to go out. But predominantly, I prefer just kind of being chill.
My personality has evolved. I used to be, well, I kind of had to spend a bunch of time by myself when I was younger, but I always was very extroverted and felt really recharged by group activities. As I've gotten older, I really need a break from people. But I've lately, as much as I've loved being inside, because I really do love it, it hasn't felt entirely the most healthy. So I've had to force myself kicking and screaming to like hang out on my patio to get some sunshine. Yeah. And then I feel better once I get inside. And today I actually hung out with, well, from afar, interacted with some of my neighbors. And two of them had never met before, so I introduced them. So I was like, yay, girlfriends.
All across the balcony to where nobody's
yeah,
like,
we were
so
all
funny.
spread very far apart. But it was nice. It was like, there's something about this odd time that people that I've never really, I'm not saying I've never found common interests with them before. One of the girls I just met, but this instantly is something that bonds us with strangers. Like there's an instantaneous understanding of like, okay, we're all going through this and we're all dealing with same fears and
there's something beautiful
mortality,
about that.
if you will. Yeah.
There really is.
It is a silver lining.
And that's like Tommy and I have had a lot of one-on-one time because he's so busy normally. And it's really been nice. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy I married. This is great. I like this guy. Like he's cool. Yeah, it's
like vacation.
It's been, he needs it because he just runs himself ragged. So and I've been sick. I mean, really, but so I kind of am missing being able to like at least go for a drive, in the sun. I mean, I haven't felt like even getting out. Now I'm finally starting to feel like I could get out of the house. But enough of that. I've noticed a lot of people talking about using this time to like really go within, go into themselves and check on what is it maybe that you could work on about yourself or use this time to talk to your family. Use this time to, do those things that are very quality to our souls, basically. Yeah. But also, there's this thing in my notebook that I opened to right before we were about to speak, and I was like, wow, this is really appropriate. The right attention from the wrong individual during a lonely time can fool you into thinking they might be the one. And I think that's so appropriate. Like, because someone's bored let's say. So you start, I keep seeing a lot of those kinds of posts, like don't reach out
Yes.
to an ex or bad friend or whoever just because you're lonely, and convince yourself that like, this is so, yeah, beware of the toxic people are still toxic people. Apocalypse
That's so
or not.
apropos.
You know what I mean?
And yeah,
Buzz,
and
sorry.
that could be a stranger you don't know yet. They could be a future toxic person in your life.
Yeah.
But you're so lonely that you've convinced yourself that the attention you're getting from them is exactly what you need right now.
Yeah.
We can be alone. I know humans need to be out and to get fresh air and to get sunshine and to have human interaction. That's true. However, this introspection opportunity is special.
I love it. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't love why it's happening.
Well, of course.
To say that, of course. But I really, I wish I could see you, but
Yeah.
I'm really getting a lot out of it, I got to say. I look forward to
hope-
feeling better so I can do stuff in a way. Exercise and all that.
I hope some people get a chance to learn how to be a little more self-soothing, because I think that autonomy is a really powerful sense of individualism that we can lose. I mean, some of us don't even have a sense of it because we're used to always being with somebody or always being in a relationship or seeking out that next companionship. And there's something about forcing yourself to be alone and really enjoying that that's so powerful.
And I think people have gotten into a habit of keeping themselves so busy with doing things that they can't, because they can't listen to the truth within them that does claw away at you. If you ignore something that's wrong in your life, eventually it's going to kick you in the ass. It's going to make itself known. Whether you get sick or just repeat patterns, you keep meeting the same type of people, bringing those people to you. So hopefully everyone can, go within and find that, but then maintain that once we do go back to a sense of normalcy, whatever that will be.
And I think the other side of that coin is not just what we might be running away from, but what are we running towards? I think sometimes we have this nagging feeling of, well, like, I'm bored, so I need to go do something, entertain me.
Yeah.
We live in a busy city, and there's always a lot going on in Los Angeles. And I'm not saying that it's wrong or bad to want to have a social life, but
Sorry.
I do think it becomes this like knee-jerk reaction of, well, I've got to go out and like have a happy hour, or I've got to make plans, or I've got to, and now that we don't have that opportunity, so it's like there's like two sides of it, right? There's the stuff that we might be running from, and then there's the stuff that we're running to, but it's still all one thing.
Yeah. No, it's true. And it's funny that you said the bored thing, because I was thinking to myself, and actually I mentioned it, I think yesterday, I don't see how anybody could be bored right now. I mean, if you're used to being able to go out all the time and be social, so it ties in with what you're saying. I think it is really forcing us all to listen, listen to.
Here's what's coming to mind. People think I'm bored, but they don't investigate it further necessarily. They just assume, oh, I'm bored and that's what's going on and I hate being bored. But it is more than that for a lot of people. It's beyond, oh, I wish I knew how to say this. Why don't you continue what you're saying, and maybe clarity will strike me in the forehead. I
was going to say, I think it's people are uncomfortable with sitting in the discomfort. I'm going to adjust my mic. So they keep themselves busy. Or they will text somebody or whatever, but just whatever they can to preoccupy themselves from, or they want to smooth something over instead of, we've talked about this before, sitting in the discomfort, meaning you break up with someone, for example, and then, or you end a friendship, and then that discomfort is not smoothing it over to where you can talk, or you make up with them and everything's okay. We've kind of discussed this before. So there's such a value in being able to just ride through it. Let it go. Don't try to fix it to feel better. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you said it's such a value. I mean, it's even imperative.
It is imperative. And I don't think, because you're
like
just
say you're in
doomed.
if you're in
Yeah.
a relationship with the wrong person or you're in a toxic friendship and it's
And we've all
there's
been there. We have all experienced that. So I used to say, I had a friend, I was like, aren't you tired of it? Aren't you tired of feeling like this? Because the only person that could change it was her. You know what I mean? And okay, some people don't want to do it. Me, I can't stand it. It's like you always say, there's not a choice. I could ignore it for a while, but it was always there. You know, if I'm honest, it was always there. And I was making a choice to ignore it. You know what I mean?
Yep. To the best of your ability.
To the best of my
But it
ability.
nags. It nags at you.
Yeah, it doesn't go away. So that's where I always say, then you're kind of choosing your own path of not going down a higher road that you could have.
So my challenge to us and to listeners is if your mind says to you, oh, I'm bored, seek out more information. What does that mean? Am I bored? Am I lonely? Am I... What I don't know. What are other questions you could ask to get deeper into that? Because I think that there's answers underneath there, but not if you are satisfied with, oh, I'm bored and now I'm going to go distract myself.
I got to ponder that. Because my mind went down.
I think you can sit with it. Not everybody's going to just all of a sudden start a meditation practice. I'll be the first to admit I'm not the most disciplined with meditation.
Me either. I'm really not. I try to.
Really? I'm not the most disciplined person.
We're good with this, though. We are really good with this, but we feel
things
very...
that I'm passionate about,
Yeah, and we feel very compelled to do it and drawn to do it. And, I think we were meant to do this. So it will go where it's meant to go. I do believe that.
Amen, sister.
Ta-da! The heavenly choir. I love to do that. What else? There was a lot of things we thought about talking about. We can shift gears just a little bit.
All right. You turned the wheel. I'm passenger. Where are we headed?
All right. I don't know. All right. I was thinking
about... Seatbelts on.
Yeah, I know. Buckle up, guys. Buckle up. I'm going to sit down here and really think about this.
By the way, if you're watching this, I'm not drinking swamp water. The water that I'm drinking looks cloudy because there's lemon in it. So just to clarify.
Very good. Very good. Yes.
I'd hate for my mom to watch it and be like, the water in Los Angeles is terrible. How's
your mom doing? I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. There was a delay.
You didn't mean to cut off my fake... my mom's great. She said there was a bit of an adjustment. She got home and she said she got out of the shower and she's like, what do I normally do? She was like, do I normally use one towel or two towels? And if I use two towels, where is it? And then she remembered, oh yeah, I have like one of those special hair towels.
Oh, that's
by the way,
cute.
Did I tell you I gave my mom a haircut while she was here? Gave her a quarantine cut. She got the Corona cut.
The Corona cut.
Yeah. Turned out pretty darn cute. Here's the thing. I'll watch a YouTube video for anything and then pretty damn confidently follow the instructions and things turn out pretty well. So
usually.
Is it the best haircut she's ever had? Probably
really?
Not. But it's pretty darn good.
Oh, see, I misheard you. I thought you said it's the best haircut she ever had.
Oh, I don't know. It's pretty cute, though.
It's pretty good, though. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I would have, had I more time, I would have done a little bit more in the back. I would have liked to have gone a little more funky, like maybe like a little shorter in the back and a little longer in the front, but...
Get a baby stepper into that.
My mom's in her 60s, and she's fun, but I feel like she's a little more calm with experimenting.
My mom is in her 70s, and she just texted me the other day about her. She's like, Marshelle, have you ever wondered how this COVID-19 is going on? She's like, what's up with Russia? This is my mom. And she's like, and it's an election, the elections are coming up. Isn't it just a little coincidental? And I was like, Mom, texting her back, is this your conspiracy theory? Are you
Wait,
sharing with me?
What is up with Russia?
I know, but it's
something
just so
up
funny.
With Russia?
No, this is just what and I'm like, well, it didn't start in Russia, Mom. It started in China. She's like, well, the Chinese and the Russians work together. It was just so cute. And I was like, well, it's true, Mom. I mean, I mean, I don't know. She's like, they could have created it. They could have created it, Marshelle. That's all I'm saying. I thought that was kind of adorable.
What I think is that it's probably way more complex than it seems and is being presented, but I've heard so many different conspiracy theories and they can't all be true.
Oh, I'm so
Something's
confused.
probably afoot, but
I'm so confused with the conspiracy theories. We were going to go into like a more in-depth conspiracy theory, like maybe, go through each one, in episodes or something like that. Because there's a few, man. But I was like, man, my brain, I can't.
I'm out of coffee, so I'm whining. Yeah, that takes some research. A lot,
Yeah.
actually, a lot of research.
So we'll touch on that. We will. And if you guys have any info, now that we're kind of talking about that, if you have any info that you want to share, let us know. Maybe we'll even have one of our friends on.
I will say, I feel like this whole virus situation has bonded me and my immediate family. There's a thread with just my mom, my dad, my brother, and my sister and I. And we're constantly sharing all sorts of articles and just really staying abreast to what the situation is, but also educating ourselves on what is a virus and all that jazz. And it's been pretty cute. And then every once in a while we'll get on to the iMessage and play some sort of guessing game all together.
Yeah.
And
I want to play
I
Clue.
can't think of anything else that's really brought us all together like this. And we all live,
Yeah, you
in
guys live
different
in different
places.
states.
Well, they all live in the same state, but yeah.
But like I have a brother in Alaska, a brother in Maine, a brother
Which
in
brother's
Arkansas.
in Alaska?
Duke.
Duke's
Hi,
in
Duke.
Alaska.
Duke loves
Hi,
our show.
Duke.
Hi, Duke. How are you?
Yes, he's messaged me a couple times, so I know
He's so adorable. All my brothers are
very
pretty hot
sweet.
girls. I'm just telling you. Just so you know.
I think
They
I've only
are.
met Duke.
Yeah, because he was at the wedding. You met Blake.
Oh,
That's,
yes, the
that's
younger
littlest one. Mhm.
Yes,
He's
the littlest, tallest one.
Yeah, he's the tallest out of all of us. Somehow.
He's not so small.
He's really tall. I don't know.
Didn't he at your wedding? Didn't he catch the garter?
He caught the garter and he
Wasn't it?
completely freaked out.
It creeped him out.
Because it smacked him right in the face. And see, I didn't wear the garter the whole time. I just put it on my leg right before we tossed it. And I almost forgot to do that. I had my aunt keep reminding me, the garter, the garter. And so, Tommy got the garter and then he flung it. And then it smacked my brother right in the cheek. He had this look of complete. Maybe we'll post a picture of that. He had this look of complete, like, oh my god, like he was so freaked out.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, this was on my sister's thigh.
Yeah, and he goes, Shell, where was that? I'm like, it wasn't. It was down it was way down. You're safe. It's good. It was just so funny.
Where was that?
I know people don't always appreciate the humor of that, but I thought it was hilarious. Hi, Blake, if you're listening. And my sister, hi, sis, Amber. And I don't think Kevin's listening. Tim's listening. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Got a lot of siblings, you guys. A lot of siblings. Supernatural stuff is kind of what I wanted to like. Because we can talk about that till the cows come home. I mean,
Go for it.
I was thinking about, but it kind of ties in with the conspiracy theory just a little bit in a sense of I thought we could actually elaborate on things that we've talked about because there's inevitably always like a message of like, what did you mean by that? And what did you mean by this? So maybe we could actually kind of clarify some of that stuff, like me saying I'm not a Satanist. But I mean, I have met true Satanists in St. Louis. Like, I mean, I've met them all over the place. They're pretty prominent actually, and I was just surprised. But the people that I met definitely the theme of what they were talking about would go along with this idea of, let's say, like basically Satanists trying to rule the world, like Illuminati. And and I've had some very successful friends who would swear that that's true. That the Illuminati are real and that they really are, and that people have to do these, like they perform these shows that are actually.
It's hard to not believe that there's secret societies.
Oh,
why wouldn't there be?
Well, there definitely are.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's just a fact.
Yeah.
The details
exactly.
of all that, I don't know everything there is to know there, but I definitely think secret societies exist, y'all.
For sure. And what that makes me think about too, though, is that, that's why all the occult stuff, you have to be careful with what you're dabbling with, because you honestly, and we've touched on this before, like with Ouija boards and tarot cards, you honestly don't know what you're messing with at all. And part of the trick of that is that people think, oh, it's just a game, or, oh, they're just cards or what. And they're not. I mean, tarot cards are actually really fun and they're great and they're not bad. But I was told by people, and I believe it because I could feel something, that it's like I said, they're like a window, and that other people can use those things. And if they want, it's almost like remote viewing, to where you could see or find people through those things. And that.
Now you said, I know it's true because I could feel things. Is there anything you can elaborate on what you mean when you say you could feel things? Because I feel like you're saying like a sixth sense kind of thing, like a gut feeling, or what do you mean?
Almost. Because usually when I would read tarot cards, they're very clear. You just have to be quiet for a second, and you look at, like you said, you look at the symbology. You look at what intuition is, like what's sparking in your brain, like what are you automatically thinking of when you see that? What's the question? What does that card typically mean? How are they in relation to these other? But I would remember feeling at times like I was getting really clouded, and it almost felt like another presence was somewhere, like almost in the back of my mind or around. And I know that sounds weird, but that's probably the best way to explain that sensation. And I've been told by very reputable people that you can find people looking through that. Like I said, like with remote viewing, where you can tune into someone if you put it out there, if you have that kind of capability, And I think the more you mess with intuition, or we call it magic, but that sixth sense type stuff, being sensitive, I think the more that you open yourself up to that and you trust in that, the stronger you get. So if someone's really into that, then they can see you. You know what I mean? I mean, you can feel. So you want to like put up mental blocks, or like have, sage a room before you do your tarot cards. The Ouija board, though, like we talked about before, that is definitely not a game, and that is definitely, that is a gateway for other entities, 100%. And if someone's messing with that.
I've never heard positive Ouija board experiences.
Now, you didn't you have a story about a Ouija board, or like someone in your family, like your mom or somebody?
My mom, but I don't know what the story is. I wish I would have thought to ask her when she was here. Mm-hmm. I just know that she's very anti-occult, and she always, I think also growing up at that time, I remember like the 90s. I don't know. It was just a big deal to my parents and to a lot of evangelical Christians to keep their kids away from the occult. I think there was a lot going on in the news with the spiritual movement, and so they were just really cautious about stuff. But my mom did have an experience with the Ouija board, like you were saying. She just thought it was a game made by like Hasbro or whatever.
And that's the trick.
Yeah. And I have a friend whose sister had a Ouija board experience, and my understanding is that the sister was never quite the same because of a series of events that happened. The way that it sounds to me, I'm no expert, but it sounds to me that she was basically being haunted after that.
Yeah.
But not by like a ghost, y'all. But by something much more sinister.
Yeah. And that's real. Whether you believe in it or not, I've said that before, it's real. Just because you haven't experienced it or you don't believe in it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You know, because it does. I've witnessed it. I've seen it. I've felt it. You've experienced things.
Oh, of course. Now, I understand that a lot of the skepticism comes from fear. People don't want to entertain the idea of the world being differently than as they know it, and so they're not willing to look beyond what is comfortable. And I get that.
I understand that. Or maybe also that also means then that they ultimately at some point have to answer to something other than themselves.
And
I think
either
a lot of
way, you're
yeah.
talking about ego.
Yeah.
Because it's, and I don't mean like ego as this big, bad, terrible asshole. It's like, I think it's a lot simpler than that when it comes to fear. It's just this protective mechanism. Mm-hmm. Now, it can also be the asshole. That exists too.
Yeah, for
but
sure it
it's
does.
not
For sure
always
it does.
that. It's not always, ooh, ego, like this big maniac who has like this conceited sense of himself. It's not always that when
No.
people say ego.
No. We usually mean something
Like
very
the-
different than that, actually.
Something more Freudian.
Yeah, exactly. What was I going to say about this? I've met, to kind of go into that, about how there are, I mean, and as I've said before, I refer to it as demons because I grew up Catholic. So we definitely refer to things as, but if you look at anything all around the world, any religion, they always have talk about different entities, good and bad. So you can call them whatever you want. But basically, I think it's all the same thing. You know, I've met people, I'm trying to think of how to say this. I've met a couple of different situations in my life, but they've talked about where people have actually conjured things, you know, darker things,
Ooh,
you know, and that
creepy.
drugs are a portal. You know, I mean, I know a lot of people have
There's
said
a reason why it's called spirits.
exactly, and people don't want to hear that because then they're like, oh, well, okay, go ahead. I'm not saying you can't have a drink. I'm not saying, you know. Mm-hmm.
I do remember a story I've never told before. So,
Oh, please go ahead.
you want me to jump into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can go back to what I was
Okay.
going to talk about.
I used to live in a house in a small town, and I was in a relationship. And me and that guy worked at the same restaurant, and there was this girl that worked with us. And she was a little odd, but I had nothing against her. I just kind of felt like she just never struck me as a fully authentic person. And I only mention that because it almost felt like there was something she was hiding, or there was just, I don't know, some nervous energy there.
Okay.
So she was going to leave this work and go work somewhere else, and so it was her last day, and we'd never hung out with her, but for whatever reason we all had like a drink, like a beer after work, and we were having a lot of fun. We're like, why have we never hung out? Why don't you come over? We'll all hang out. So we're hanging out. We probably get more to drink. And I think we're sitting in the living room, and she's drinking, and she's starting to get calls from her fiance. And I remember he'd called while we were at the restaurant too. Oh, this is why we invited her over. She's told us some sob story about how he never wants her to go out. Just basically made it sound like, you know, he was really controlling, and we felt bad for her. So it was like, oh, well, come over. You can, until you're ready to go home. It sounds like maybe things are a little complicated there right now. That's why, that was the impetus. It wasn't like, oh, let's have fun.
Yeah.
All of this, it's important later. So then he keeps calling her. We all are drinking. She actually gets pretty darn drunk. So I just remember she's singing at the top of her lungs, but she was singing like Heart or something. But she sounded really good. She had a really great voice, actually. She could belt it, and it was like, wow. But I had to slip away to go to the bathroom, and she had her eyes closed, but I didn't want to like stop her. So I went to the bathroom, and then a minute passes, and she comes into the bathroom and closes the door. And
Wait, were you going to the bathroom at that time?
I think I'd finished. Maybe I was washing my hands. And then somehow the lights get turned off as she like lunges at me, and she's looking at me all weird. And I turn the light back on, and she's just like a different person, Marshelle. Like a different person. She looks possessed. Okay? So then I managed to get out of the bathroom because she's trying to trap me in there. And I remember going looking for the guy, and I think he's upstairs, and I was trying to explain like something weird just happened. And so she comes upstairs and manages to break something, like a plant, right? And I think we're all barefoot, so we're worried about the glass. He goes down to get a broom. No. I go down to get the broom. She starts undressing. She starts to try to come on to him. So then
While
I
you're
get back
downstairs
up,
going to get the
while
broom?
I'm downstairs to get the broom.
Wow.
So then we get her downstairs. She's starting to just get crazier and crazier and not make sense, and also be very explicitly sexual towards us. Like she was trying to get us to do a threesome with her and all this stuff. As she freaks out more and more, he's like, you need to go now. And she's like, no, no, no. He literally has to pick her up, take her outside, close the door. We're trying to get a hold of her fiance, because we're like, this is out of hand.
Yeah.
She gets into her car, drives like up and over an embankment. We're right by a police station, so we call the cops and we're like, look, someone very drunk just got on the road. She gets
Good.
arrested. Oh, I forgot to mention, she broke down the back door, like the screen door and the glass. She shattered the glass, like she punched it to
So
try
you
and
guys were
get
just
back in.
drinking that night, right? And she
Just a little bit to
whipped
drink.
Wigged
Yeah.
out.
Yep. So then I get a call the next morning, and she's like, hey, hi, how's it going? I don't know if I can talk to you right now. She's like, hey, what happened last night? I woke up in jail and my hand's like bleeding and bruised, and I don't remember anything. And I'm like, I don't know if you're serious.
Wow.
Because what we went through with you was really traumatic. And she's like, I swear, I don't remember anything. And then she admitted the reason why her fiance was so freaked out is because this happens when she drinks. She blacks out like every time, and it doesn't take very much. And then I started to hear stories of a wedding she attended of somebody that I knew. It was actually the brother of an ex of mine. And apparently she had some to drink, and she freaked out at the wedding and kind of like ruined the wedding. Like, this is a thing when this girl drinks. She, I think, gets possessed by something.
You know,
There you have it. There's my story.
There you have it. There's my story. I believe that things can go through. I mean, when I used to do drugs, and I've seen other people do drugs, one of my oldest, dearest friends, Scott, I'll say it, Scott Weiland, he talked about it. He always felt like cocaine was demonic, that like things, you become like a portal, and that things will come up through that, you know. And I believe that. I completely, because I've seen it. I used to be like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, you know, but I just, with the passage of time and life, I have seen it now. And we would talk, you know, there's like, there's just so much. I don't even know how you scratch the surface with that. There's this show that I've been watching off and on, and I'm going to probably watch it when we get off here. Portals to Hell with Jack Osbourne.
It's right up your alley.
It's right up my alley. But they were talking about how places can be portals to hell, like energy. It's like we talked about the Viper Room, or just certain places you go to. If things happen there, or they're just the way the ley lines are arranged, or whatever it is, things can come through those places, you know, and houses.
You have to believe that reality is multidimensional, and that there's dimensions that aren't like physically as we know them. I think in order for someone to open their mind, if they don't believe, if you're skeptical, which I understand.
Yeah. But I get it. If I hadn't experienced things or talked to people that I believe in,
that's the thing.
Know, I would be right there with you.
We've had experiences.
Exactly. And also, there are a lot of charlatans out there. Like, there's all these shows about exorcisms. I'm like, that person's not possessed. That person's not possessed. You know, I'm going through different people. That person's not. Like, that's bullshit. You know, you watch all this stuff. So that's why there is skepticism. And
doesn't mean that exorcisms aren't real.
But there are
but
cases.
Not every exorcism is real.
Is real. Exactly. Do you know what I mean?
Is a real possession.
Do you know what we're saying, guys? I mean, this is what we're saying. Like, you got to use your judgment on that and your instincts on something like that. But I just, man, I don't know. And it just seems like sometimes there's like a frenzy in a way of a lot of
full moons, man.
Yeah.
Full moons.
Mm-hmm.
There is a thing that happens on full moons.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think there's been studies that say crime goes up on full moons. And some people are like, yeah, but maybe that's just a self-fulfilling prophecy that people somehow buy into it. And that would be just as weird, in my opinion, to be honest.
Exactly. That's just as weird.
Come on. Either way, it's a factor. And it's happening. That's weird.
My mom was a nurse. And when she was trying to figure out what field she wanted to get into, she interned in, she tried out the psych ward for a while. And she said every time, inevitably, when there was a full moon, it got crazy. People just went crazy. There's something about the water in your body and the moon with the tides and all of that kind of stuff. She said every single time. So there you go. And I've talked to people, though, that have seen things or have done it themselves. These are a bunch of different circumstances.
Yeah.
Where they talked about they've seen people conjure things. And I mean, I'm talking about satanic. They're deliberately wanting to conjure up a demon. I don't know personally why you would want to do that, but that what I'm getting at is that shit's real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if people do that over and over and over, like in a certain place, and I think a place becomes haunted. You know, or like if there's a lot of death in a place. I don't know.
Like, or cemeteries.
There's definitely vibes at cemeteries, don't you think?
Yeah. Some of it, I think, is like the collective grief. How can you not feel that walking through a cemetery? I mean, so many people come to gather to grieve. Mm-hmm. That's a palpable thing. Mm-hmm. But in addition to that, I think that there's, I think when our loved ones pass away, that their consciousness or their soul, I don't actually want to define it as anything. Mm-hmm. An aspect of them lives on. Mm-hmm. Clearly not the physical part of them, but an aspect of them continues on. So
I believe that too,
are we
100%.
Walking through a cemetery and feeling the presence of people who've passed over? Mm-hmm. Not to say that they stay there. I'm not trying to say that cemeteries are like full of ghosts and all these beings are dwelling there, but I think people, loved ones would visit.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think loved ones send signs. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I really do.
Mm-hmm. See, that's supernatural. All of that. I think the way, just looking at life the way we do, and that the meanings to things, and that's supernatural. That's why we've said it before. That's how come we explain the show as being unknowable things.
Right. Because we're also not trying to convince anybody, hey, this is the way you need to view life. Mm-mm. However, it's almost like a disclaimer that says, look, this is how we view life.
Yeah.
We're cool with this. This is okay with me to say, this is how I see it. I'm not going to argue about it. I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. But this is my view on things. And I have reasons to believe it.
I was going to say, and we believe it, as we've said, because we're both naturally skeptical about certain things.
Yeah.
But we believe it because we have personally experienced it. And we felt it.
Again and again and again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not
so
just once.
repeatedly. It used to be terrifying. There was a period of time where I didn't want to look at it. I wanted to just keep my rose-colored glasses on, and it was terrifying. And then pretty soon it was no longer an option for me to ignore it. It was...
Exactly. You know why? Because it feels like you're actually ignoring yourself and your true calling, why you're here. And I think we're compelled to talk about it because for those of you out there who are maybe experiencing this, and maybe you didn't have a corner to talk in about that, to have people to talk to about that, or you're new to it and you're like, what is this? This feels so crazy. Well, we're here to say you're not. You're not crazy.
You're not crazy. Hey, maybe you're a little crazy. I feel
we might have a touch crazy, but we're good crazy, you know?
No, it's a good crazy. I think I think, Marshelle, you and I have a sense of freedom that to others may seem crazy because we're not like so ready to fall in line with society's norms.
We're
like
on the, we've always been outsiders.
We're on the
I
fringe.
think we've always looked at it. Yeah, on the fringe.
Yeah.
I've always felt like I was on the outside looking in.
Oh,
and just observing.
100%.
You know?
Somebody that I know from Los Angeles, they were posting a story and it was tagged my hometown, and I was like, dude, that's where I'm from. And he's like, do you miss it? I was like, ooh, well, I certainly miss my family.
Yeah.
Do I miss the place, though? It's beautiful and it's special, but I always felt like a fish out of water there.
Yeah.
I never felt like I was of that place. Maybe I'll feel differently as I get older, but it was just interesting. That just happened today. I was like, ponder. Let me ponder that.
Well, to go along with that, I was thinking about that too. I'm like, you can't, because we were watching that Tiger King thing. That's a whole other.
I actually have since watched most of it.
Well, but it's set in Oklahoma, and I grew up in Oklahoma predominantly, and then Missouri and Texas. But I miss Oklahoma, the land. It's so beautiful, and Missouri is beautiful, and Texas is beautiful. I love all that. But now, if I were to go back now, everything has changed. And like the landscape, meaning of people, has changed, in that there is a rampant drug use that has just taken over a lot of the countrysides, a lot of the small towns, and so it wouldn't be the same, if I went back. And honestly, if I really look at it, I just liked, like I said, I loved the country.
Yeah.
The trees and being outside. But did I ever fit in there? Nope. Never. I probably don't even fit in here. You know what I mean? But I found my people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what people's perception of me from there really is. But I always got the sense that me and my best friend, we always were like, her name growing up, Cindy, we were always a little different. But we were like two peas in a pod because of that. But I felt like, we just seemed a little different for some reason.
Yeah, anyone I ever really vibed with was the same over the years. I was just a little, and I loved them to death. If I love you, I love you. Do you know what I mean? If I let you in, I let you in. If I get backstabbed, well, that's a whole other story. But that's definitely happened. But yeah. But you live and you learn, and you learn to trust those instincts. It's all part of that whole magical experience to me.
I think I'm much more reclusive than I think friends of my past realize. Maybe they know now, but I think they would interpret it differently. Who knows what they think? I really couldn't tell you what people think, but I think people that I used to be friends with, that maybe we've fallen out of touch, may not look at it like I see it.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people, some of the people I went to grade school with, 'cause that's what the thing about Facebook. I was like, oh, that's so weird. Like you see, and then it's like, oh, that's great to see somebody I went to kindergarten with or third grade with or whatever. And a lot of them are like, oh, I'm so happy you're doing this podcast and I love it and blah, blah, blah. But then as we've continued, I'm like, I don't know that you like it as much anymore, because we talk about the way we look at life. And for some people, because that was the Bible Belt where I grew up. And I believe in God, you guys. So it's not that I don't.
Oh, yeah. I believe in God.
But I some people don't want to hear about tarot cards and a side note of that, I will go into more in depth. I got to think about how I want to go into that. But there's definitely some stories to talk about Satanists and demons. And I mean, there's a lot.
I'm not sure how much you're going to really be able to say, though, because some of the stuff you've experienced, Marshelle, is really out there. It's like bizarre. And I know I'm saying that, and it sounds like we're teasing it, and people are going to be like, oh, I really want... You guys got to understand. She can't. Some of the stuff she cannot tell you.
No, but it's real. And like, that's why I'm like, guys, don't play with that.
Yeah.
Don't
heed the warning.
Yeah. I mean, maybe someday I can find some way, but or maybe it's more of a case, like if someone wanted some kind of information, we could talk to them privately about it or something. 'Cause maybe it's better to not broadcast that sort of a thing. But there's
a reason why you keep your cards close to your chest. You know,
I've always
you were
been like that.
trained to be that way.
I really
It
was.
runs in your family, and I've had to learn to be that way. I'm still learning.
Yeah, I liked it. I think I was a little bit of an influence in that way.
I'm also at a point now, like, if I say something that freaks somebody out, I'm like, good riddance.
You know what? Exactly. You got to trust that. It's definitely, you just got to trust the people that are in your life and that the
Yeah.
ones that leave, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and it's interesting dating because, like, you don't want to necessarily come out of the gate with all of this type of information with somebody.
No, exactly.
But at the same time, I don't want to hide the fact that I may see the world a little differently than you. And if you are closed-minded and you can't leave room for my paradigm, it's never going to work. Because how could you be in a relationship with someone that thinks you're, like, I don't know. Like, I don't think I could ever have a successful relationship with an atheist. I can be friends.
I was going to say, you and I have talked about this. It's like, I couldn't be in a relationship with someone who didn't believe in some kind of a higher power. You don't have to call it what I call it.
Weird. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to call it what we call it. But if you don't believe in something like that, then, I mean, we could be friends, like you said. But there's no way it would ever work. Ever.
No way. Not with the level of intimacy and depth I would expect with a romantic long-term relationship. There's just, you literally have a whole side of yourself that you're unable to share with that person. That sounds terrible to me.
I know.
Ew, never.
Ew. Ew.
Yeah.
Why? Well, I hope we didn't sound too vague.
No, I'm saying ew. Too vague?
Too vague, yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, I hope you don't sound mean about atheists. I don't have, you can believe whatever you want. I just don't want to be in a relationship with you. Is that okay?
Exactly. No, it's
Can that
totally
be
fine to
okay?
say. I think it's totally fine to say.
Good.
I just, yeah. I agree with you. I'm not, I don't know that I ever really, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know that I ever really worried what someone thought. You know, to an extent. I mean, someone that I loved, I wouldn't want them to think ill of me, but at the same time, I think I've always been in that place of like, well, this is me. You know what I mean? And I don't know. That's
sure. It may still register a little bit like a rejection, though.
No, yeah, for sure it does. For sure it does.
So I think in that regard, and plus, you know, you want to. We're multifaceted people, and it's like you both want them to get a sense of all of you.
Yeah.
But you also want to get some of it out of the way because you don't want to get emotionally invested in this person if they're just going to be freaked out.
Because time is all we got. Yeah.
And also, when you're intuitive, here's the other thing.
Yeah.
When you're intuitive, I can speak for myself. I can be on a date with somebody I'm just meeting, and I will get information about them. I will get messages. I will get pings. I will be able to give them really good, specific advice.
Do you tell them? Or do you hold it?
It just
hold
totally
it back?
depends on, I will usually ask if I won't make it sound woo-woo. I'll just be like, may I give you some advice?
Yeah.
Are you looking for advice?
Yeah, I think that's something that we've worked on is how do you make that palatable? You know,
Right.
to if you know something, if you feel it, if you hear it, what do you do? How do you
And I
do it?
feel like some people have been really excited about that. I'm thinking of one guy in particular. I don't want to say his name. Starts with an A. He lived in a place that started with an L. He was so great, but we just didn't. There's just something missing for me. But he was a great person. And I felt really excited about how into that aspect of me he was.
Right.
But then you'll meet other people that seem really like they don't even have to be freaked out by it. They might just be like, the point is, it's a big part of me. It's indicative of the depth of me. And if somebody doesn't like that about me, it's like, it is kind of personal.
Yeah.
That it's like, okay, you don't like me.
And
you
it's
don't
a big
like me.
It's a big part of you.
It's a big part of me,
the
and then
core
it
of
feels
who
like a
you are.
rejection, and I'm not going to lose sleep over that. But yeah, that's why I have to be careful about who I date.
Yeah.
Because beliefs are a big deal.
You have to do that in general. anyway, like, because friends can stab you in the back with that. Friends can,
Yeah.
you know, or people that, and that's the biggest betrayal, people you thought that had your back and they don't. Like, that's, wow. Yeah.
It's also interesting the people who don't have your back and you know it, but they'll come to you for advice.
Yeah.
So it's like, we don't get along, but at least they accept that part of me.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because you and I both, I think we come across as grounded people. People say that enough to us. So I think that Tommy used to say, actually, Scott said that to me too, that I feel like truth to them. So if we were really talking about something, it was something that we both like, even just meeting each other back in the days, you know, I mean, it was like, yeah, I believe that. That's true. That makes sense. You know, or you see that too, you know, if we're going into like other stuff. But I think it's just the core of who we are. And if someone's not down with that, then it's just not going to work even as a friend. And that's why I think, you know, as far as dating, Bridget, as someone had said to me once a long time ago, it was like, you know, you're one of the higher echelon. So you're going to have a smaller dating pool, you know, and meaning higher echelon of like the kind of person that you are. Not that people are one person's better than the other or anything like that before anybody jumps on whatever, this PC culture. I'm just saying that.
She's complimenting me. Let me have it.
You're like, let me have it. Let me have it.
Just let me have the compliment. Thank
but
you,
it's
Marshelle.
true though. You're a really amazing, pure person. And there's not a lot of that out there. There's a lot of, you know.
Bullshit.
Yeah, thank you. I was trying to figure out how I could say this politely. Bullshit. So there's a lot out there.
There's a lot of bullshit.
And with dating, a lot of people, unfortunately, aren't trying to be their better selves, or they're not looking for an equal. We've talked about this.
Just in life.
Human
beings.
Yeah, they're not.
A lot of them could care less about growth.
Yeah, and that's not who you are. So it's gonna be a smaller dating pool, but you will find that person.
Yeah.
You know? And then
I feel relaxed about it, so he better be looking, because I'm not seeking him out at this time.
I guarantee you he is. This you guys,
Okay,
I've said this before and I will say it again. Just from what I've experienced in my life, and I know if it's on your heart that someone is out there, then they are. And they're looking for you just as much as you are looking for them. The thing though is when you find each other, it's the choice. Do you choose to stay on this path and to grow together? Because you can have your person, I'm putting in quotes if you're not watching, and then they go down this other path.
Right, because there's always choice.
Yeah, there is always choice. You're not going to vibe. You know, it's frequency, it's vibration. That's something I want to get into at some point. I need to look it up a little more. But everything is frequency and vibration. Einstein used to say that, or would say that, like, to get what you want in life, you have to match that frequency.
I think a nice analogy that's pretty easy is if you think of music and some notes harmonize, and you want to be in harmony with your person, and it's impossible to be in harmony all the time because you're growing. So if you imagine that you're really working on your personal growth and you're going up the scale, they will have to find ways to harmonize with that. And if not, you guys are in discord, and that's a really ugly note.
And it feels ugly.
It feels ugly.
It feels ugly.
Yeah.
That was a very good analogy.
Thank you. I have my moments.
You do. And you look lovely, by the way, shall I say.
Thank you. So do you. I love you in yellow, girl.
I'm so digging yellow.
This is working.
You guys, I've got this yellow blouse on that I'm actually but it has black on the edges, so I'm like so excited because I got a little bit of black. But it's got horses, if you can see it. It's the imprint on it is the imprint. What is that?
I feel like all this looks like we spent way more time and energy on making it work than we did. Like this, we really kind of threw it together. I guess we just, this is the studio. And the
this
studio,
is the she
of course,
shed.
took time and but I mean, in terms of adjusting to the circumstances that be,
Yeah.
and just making it work from our respective homes, we just kind of like Been
it
rolling
came
with the
together.
punches, and
this
it
is, like,
actually
really
looks
nice.
really good.
Yeah, and it's
We
nice.
could do this again in the future.
Well, we're gonna have to. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it works out.
April 30th is when we may get out of lockdown, right?
In the entire United States, not just California. It's all across the United States. So possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're going to reassess. Mm-hmm. Like if we're at our peak bad in May 1st, like we're at the worst of it, I don't think we should leave our homes yet.
No, we can stay. We can keep doing it like this. We're making it work. So you guys, I just turned my chair a little bit. I've turned. So we got a little bit.
Your transition was I'll post a picture on Instagram of my setup. There's my printer is like the perfect height to put my laptop on top of, so that I have a nice like.
Oh yeah, I'm so
eyeline.
rigged. I'm so rigged. It's like I've got one little table, one of those little tables we have. I'm on that. On top of
the laptop table.
on top of the
Marshall's
coffee
a couple
table.
of those. Those are nice because it's kind of like, food trays, like the tray tables that
But
people
they prop up, and one of them has like a fan on it that will keep the computer cool. It's really cool. I like it. Yeah.
It's cool that it keeps it cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. How long are we? I think we're there.
I think we're there. We've been going on for an hour.
Well, and some of it, we had a couple false starts. We had a little technical difficulties, so we'll probably be at about well, let's guess. Let's see how close we are.
I actually started it right when we started this one. So I think unless we cut something out, I think we're right at about an hour.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Yeah. So we shall see.
I love it.
Oh, I miss you.
I miss you too. I'm trying to think when the last time I had a hug was. From any human, it would have been my mother on Wednesday, March 25th.
Oh.
It's the last time I had a hug.
We've been talking every day though.
Yeah, we've been in touch. And then my brain was like, "When's the last time you kissed someone?" I was like, "Stop it, brain! I don't want to think about that."
Well, for me, it's
been a while.
This morning, yeah. So,
now I saw the picture you guys posted of a plastic bag being in between you two, and I was really wondering, is that for real? Is that how you're kissing?
Well, no, but
you
Tommy
germ-sharing yet?
Tommy has been kind of staying away from me because I'm still. Listen to me. I mean, the exhaustion is what's here, and there's still a little bit of a cough, and I just feel like crap. I mean, I really feel bad, you guys. And I know I don't look my normal self, but whatever.
I feel like that's a trick statement because you look amazing. So I'm like, what does she mean? She doesn't look like her normal self?
Well, I don't think. I think, like, I look at myself and I'm like, oh, I can tell I don't feel well. Do you know what I mean? You get that look in the eye. Like when I shot DTLA the entire season, I had a cold. So,
but your character was drunk.
I know, so
let's
it worked.
just
It worked.
let it be true
It
that Bridget and Marshelle are very sober drunk right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But no. But he is a little bit of. I'm a germaphobe, but he definitely is a little bit too, and he's a little bit of a hypochondriac.
I was gonna say he's a little bit of a hypochondriac.
Nobody heard that though. No one tell Tommy.
I feel a little more OCD. I had OCD tendencies as a kid.
He does too.
I don't want to. Maybe I shouldn't say a family member of mine has it. And it's interesting because it starts to creep up, but maybe when in check, it's not so bad because maybe it's just like
this is a very Howard Hughes time right now. So Howard Hughes had the ultimate of OCD. So I mean, I can see why it would come out more, a little bit in this.
To be honest, I don't understand the reference.
Howard Hughes
had OCD.
Yeah, he was way. Have you never seen? Okay, when we get off, I'll tell you a little bit about.
Is it a movie reference?
Well, no, he's a real person, but they did make a movie about him that Leonardo DiCaprio was in called The Aviator.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Howard Hughes.
No, I knew he was a real person, but you were about to say, "Did you see?" And so I was like, "Did I see?"
I don't remember.
Yes, I
saying
have seen The Aviator.
Yeah, but like that whole, people are making jokes about that. The memes are like, Howard Hughes wasn't so far off, was he? Like with his clink, 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 staying away from everybody, not touching things. Yeah.
Today I had the pleasure of explaining to my neighbor that soap is actually one of the most beneficial things and effective things for cleaning your hands. she thought, you know, it was all about the hand sanitizer. I'm like, look, I get it. That's where the frenzy was. That's everyone was buying it up. But that's just more of a convenience thing when you're out and about, guys. You want to use soap and hot water to wash your hands because the virus is literally surrounded by lipids. It's like fat, and the soap breaks down the fat and then kills the virus. So there's your little science lesson for the day.
Bridget.
I think we should stop.
I think we should stop too. But you guys, thanks for listening. Hopefully you stuck it out.
I really like this episode.
I do too, because we kind of went down like a little bit of a, it wasn't a rambling, but it was, I think it was pretty cool.
No, we were pretty concise. Also, if you're listening to this the day it comes out, Wednesday, we're filming this and recording this on Monday, just a couple days before it comes out. So, it's when we're late. My only point in saying that is the last two have been like really current.
Yeah.
Really current.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
There's something I like about that.
I do too. And, thanks for listening and interacting like you guys do. We're slowly kind of building that up, and it's really nice. And thanks for sticking around, and subscribe if you haven't. Go watch some other ones or listen to some other ones.
I feel like I'm building some really genuine friendships with you guys.
Me
so
too.
Thank you for the support.
I love it.
Like, it's really special to me.
Yeah, you guys are great.
And you've been so supportive and sending us these messages that are like, you guys are really listening to what we have to say and engaging with it, and just keep it up, because otherwise I think I don't know, it just feels nice.
It does.
We
And
like
if there's anything else you want to talk about, or if you guys have some ideas, email us at yeahsortakinda@gmail.com, or tell us, you know, if you have instances, or you want to talk about Ouija boards, or, you know, portals
Ghosts
to hell,
or hauntings
or like
synchronicity or signs,
because we're gonna go down those rabbit holes quite a bit now. So
yes,
you know,
ma'am.
Yeah. So or even conspiracy theories, what you guys know. So that's where we are.
Very apropos for this time.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theories. Bring it on.
All right, you guys. We love you. Thanks
Love
for
you guys.
watching and listening. Bye,
Mwah.
Bridget.
Bye.